Traditional oil rubbed patina. In this video, we're going to cover the oil rub patina on the traditional brown line on bronze, brass, and copper. So here we'll start with a piece of copper and a Sculpt Nouveau metal cleaner with a Scotch-Brite pad. And then once we have that cleaned up, rinsed, and dried, we'll get going with the patina. Now, the patina can be used at full strength, or you can dilute it if you need it to move even slower or be a little bit lighter in color. One of the benefits of using a slower reacting patina is the time you have to correct things. So you'll notice on the right hand side of this piece, it's going to start coming in a little bit different. And so with a slow patina, you have time to fix that. If you're using like darkening or deep brown, which are great patinas, you won't have as much time. So really you need to go in with that Scotch-Brite pad and try and get it more uniform if that's what you're going for. Here, I can see it's reacting just a little bit different, and basically I can just put a little bit more patina on, and most of the times it will catch up. You still will have a little bit modeling, but usually it's relatively uniform. It just depends on how uniform you're looking for. So we let this react for a few minutes and then we put a clear coat on it. This is just our clear guard matte, but here we have our final piece with the traditional oil rub patina on copper. Next, we'll switch to brass. Now, if you follow some of our videos, you'll notice that the bronze, brass, and copper are all very similar. Usually you'll get a little bit of a difference between shades, but overall, how you work with it and the finished result are going to be very similar. Here I am going to use a Scotch-Brite pad, and the reason is I'm seeing some along the edges and overall the modeling is coming in very inconsistent. That's usually an indicator that your metal prep was not as good as it could have been. And so just like usual, a little bit more material on the surface of the metal, as well as I put a little on Scotch-Brite pad. I tend to do that if I want less lines, if I want a little bit more transparency, then that tends to help because it softens up the scratch marks, if you will. But I put a little bit more on. Sometimes I'll rinse in between this stage. Here I just put a little bit more patina on, and then I let it kind of kickstart from there. And by Scotch-Briting, we did uniform the surface up a little bit more, but you'll notice it actually looks a little bit darker than that copper sample as well. But it came out really nice. So then we'll put a clear coat on it, and then we go from there. So now we'll finish up with bronze as far as the sheet metal goes. And for this one, I went straight in with the Scotch-Brite pad just purely out of habit. I have been doing so many brown and black patinas with the Scotch-Brite pad, so a lot of the times I'll do it just to help kick the reaction off a little bit faster, a little bit darker. But again, feel free not to use a Scotch-Brite pad, and you can dilute it with distilled water if you want it to be even lighter. Once we reapply some patina to get that color coming back, and then we can clear coat it with the ClearGuard EF matte in this case. Here we have our final sample of the oil rub patina on bronze. And from there, we're actually going to go to a submersion process. We normally don't recommend a full strength in submersion just because it will be too fast or too hard of a reaction. So a lot of the times we'll recommend diluting it with distilled water. Now, here, a kind of cool thing happened when we did use full strength, and over the course of about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, it actually came out as a black finish. So this can be used to do a black finish if you leave it in long enough, or you apply enough coats. As usual, it will go darker and darker. So here you can see some modeling on the little discus that we have, but that's the characteristics of the metal. The patina itself is pretty uniform. So now we're going to use 1/3 of the patina and 2/3 of distilled water for this submersion process. And we're just using distilled water that we mixed in real quick with a stir stick, and then we'll put the coin in. What you'll notice when you dilute it is the more you dilute it, the slower the reaction happens. So you can dilute it more. You can go 1 to 5, 1 to 6. Do some tests, find out what works best for you as far as how much time you want it to spend in the bath, as well as the outcome of what color you want it. But typically a bath will give you the most uniform finish you can get with minimal amount of work, so you don't have to Scotch-Brite it or anything like that. Sometimes I'll take a brush and kind of wipe at the surface and everything like that, but most of the time, especially with this oil rub patina, I just cleaned it really well and put it in and left it. And in this case, it took about 6 minutes, and then I got this really beautiful brown patina. Traditional oil rub patina is available at www.sculptnouveau.com or by calling us at 760-432-8242.